Good evening, everyone. Those joining us in the gallery and online, welcome to March 2026 Council meeting. We commence with the acknowledgement of country, and Councillor Cowan, you volunteered to read that.
Wodonga Council acknowledges Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people as the first peoples of the country. We acknowledge them as traditional owners and custodians across various lands. We pay our respect to their ancestors, elders, children and young people. We acknowledge the strength and resilience of all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples and recognise their continuous connections to lands, waters and communities across the country.
Thank you, Councillor Cowan. Agenda item 2 is apologies, request for leave of absence and request to attend by electronic means. Councillor Quilty, do you have a request for leave or a request for attendance by electronic means? Your few upcoming.
Yes, I do have a request. I have consulted with the governance officer, and on their advice, I will be able to request leave of absence, and even if it's granted, I should be able to attend and vote in all the meetings of council and committees electronically. Based on that advice, I would like to request leave of absence from 5th of April to 17th of May.
Thank you very much.
I'll still intend to...
From the 5th of April to...
17th May.
17th of May?
Yes.
All those in favour? Councillor Knight, Councillor Quilty, Councillor Hall, Councillor Aldridge, Councillor Cowan, all those against? Councillor Melvin, the motion is carried. And also by any request there for electronic means, or was it just leave?
It is a request to attend by electronic means.
Right. So we're clear about that? Continues to attend by electronic means. Thank you.
That has to be done in the meeting. But it has to, the governance will request that matter be dealt with in the actual meeting.
In the actual meeting.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
So leave of absence, okay.
Yeah.
And request by electronic means that the actual meeting.
Good. Thank you. So, agenda item 3 is a good governance pledge. Councillor Aldridge is the volunteer to read that.
Wodonga councillors have committed to undertake the duties of the Office of Councillor in the best interests of the municipal community, abide by the Model Councillor Code of Conduct and uphold the standards of conduct set out in the Model Councillor Code of Conduct, faithfully and impartially carry out and exercise the functions, powers, authorities and discretions vested in the Office of Councillor under the Local Government Act 2020 and any other act to the best of their skill and judgment.
Thank you, Councillor Aldridge. Agenda item 4 is a declaration by councillors of any conflict of interest. I would like to declare a general conflict of interest for agenda items 7.1 and 7.2 pertaining to the petitions received, given that at least 2 signatories are relatives of mine. I'll be leaving that part of the meeting, and Deputy Mayor Paul will be chairing those agenda items. Councillor Quilty.
Yes, I would like to declare a general conflict of interest for item 15.3, opportunity site Burundudi Boulevard, due to family members attending the school at Wilson College.
Thank you, Councillor Quilty. Agenda item 5 is a confirmation of minutes from the previous meeting. There's a recommendation there before us. Get it over. Councillor Hall, second that. Councillor Aldridge, all those in favour? It's carried unanimously. Thank you. Agenda item 6 is question time, and I understand, CEO, there are none at this time.
That's correct.
Thank you. Which now leads us to agenda item 7, the petitions. And as previously mentioned, I've declared a general conflict of interest due to signatories to both petitions being signed by a number of relatives of mine. Councillor Hall, thank you very much for sharing this. If someone could call me on completion of those items. Thank you.
Right, thank you. So we're into item 7.1 petitions. I would like, if I can have a motion or
The officer to.
okay, yes, okay. Officer Mulgrew. Yes, thank you.
Right. Item 7.1 relates to a petition received from residents of the Elmwood community requesting the council consider reducing the existing 50 km/h speed limit within the estate. The recommendation of council is to receive the petition and refer it to the Chief Executive Officer for a report to a future council meeting, enabling officers to investigate the matter and provide advice for council's consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Mulgrew. Do I have someone to put forward the recommendation?
Can I just ask a question,
Councillor Kane.
Deputy Mayor?
Yeah, okay. So I need to move it. Councillor Knight. And do I have a second?
I'll second for the purpose of the discussion.
Oh, the question relates to the recommendation, actually, so thank you for picking that. It should be moved and seconded. I'm just curious to know when the future council meeting might be, what sort of timeframe we might be looking at. If I may put the question through you, Deputy Mayor, to the appropriate responder. Director?
It's through to Officer Mulgrew. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. It is planned to present the report back at the April council meeting.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. That's great.
Councillor Knight.
I'm happy to move that with that added on, if that's possible. If we could
And I would second that.
second that on, that we add the April council meeting.
Okay. So would you like to read out that motion?
Yeah,
It's that.
that the petition requesting a reduction in the speed limit within the Elmwood community be referred to the Chief Executive Officer for a report to the council's April meeting, to be presented at the council's April meeting.
And Councillor Aldridge, support that.
Yeah.
Okay, Councillor Knight.
And put it to the vote. We can put it to the vote.
Is that a formal motion?
I don't know how to do it. I'm just guessing.
If the mover and the seconder agree
Yeah.
to that matter, I don't think it needs a vote for that change, but you you may then speak to it.
Speak to the motion. I'm happy.
If you don't want to speak to it, you can move a procedural motion to put the motion. That's what
That's what I'm trying to do. Procedural motion.
Yeah, you don't need a seconder for that, and so it's just a vote.
Okay, all in favour of the procedural motion? Okay, we've
You have
got
to read them out.
Councillor Coulson, Councillor Knight, Councillor Cowan, Councillor Aldridge and Councillor Hall. In the negative, Councillor Mulgrew. Okay, that was carried. Thank you. Oh, okay. So I'll put the motion forward. Who supports the motion? Okay, Councillor Coulty, Councillor Knight, Councillor Cowan, Councillor Aldridge and Councillor Hall. And Councillor Nugent, the negative. And that's carried. Okay. After all that, so we've got the second petition here, which is item 7.2. Request for a permanent pedestrian crossing with lights at the southern end of Beechworth Road. Officer Mulgrew will read out the recommendation and information regarding the report.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Item 7.2 relates to a petition requesting the installation of a permanent pedestrian crossing with traffic signals at the southern end of Beechworth Road. The recommendation before council is to receive the petition and refer it to the Chief Executive Officer for a future report to a council meeting, enabling officers to investigate the request and provide advice for council's consideration.
So do I have someone to move the recommendation in the report?
I'm happy to move a motion, similar to the first one, just changing the that the petition requesting pedestrian crossing at the southern end of Beechworth Road be referred to the Executive Officer for a report at the April Council meeting.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor Cowell. Okay, would you like to speak to?
I'm happy to speak to this one. I think pedestrian crossings are pretty much on a highlight list at the moment. We've got a few different places that are requiring them, and safety is of paramount importance in that area. We have a lot of elderly residents, and they don't move quite as quickly or hear quite as well all of the time. So a dedicated pedestrian crossing would be probably of benefit.
Councillor Cowan.
Thank you. Thank you to the petitioners. It does concern me, however, that people feel that it's necessary to petition council for better road safety. I think residents are telling us about the current conditions and they are feeling a lack of safe access or safe crossings. And I think that is something that we should take seriously. When multiple petitions point to the same issue, I think it reflects the lived experience in Wodonga. And so I'm grateful for the officers being as responsive as they are in bringing this back to the council meeting in April.
Thank you. We've got any other councillors who'd like to speak to the motion? Councillor Roger.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I think I've some similar sentiments to Councillor Cowan, but I'm really concerned about the fact that we're dealing with all these sorts of issues on an ad hoc basis when our community raises it with us. And I am sure there is a myriad of other places of equal or greater importance that we're not even looking at because nobody's raising it with us. We're just not doing the strategic planning stuff in our whole transport network in the sense that we should be doing it at a practical level to look at this sort of thing specifically, to look at upgrading our intersections like Cheever Valley and Anzac Parade and the whole bit there, upgrading or starting to put pressure on for upgrading and duplication of Bandiana Link, for dealing with the duplication of Beechworth Road and potentially Barrandoota Boulevard as well. We're not planning and we're not doing any work that's looking into the longer term methodologies of dealing with all these things. We come to this one. I don't doubt that there's a necessity for some action to be taken here, but I think we need to be looking at this stuff in a much more strategic way, in a very practical way, not writing glossy big reports, but actually looking at practical allocation of how we look at these sorts of projects. There must be lots more of these that we just don't pick up on. From that point of view, I think that sort of thing needs to be part of the report that comes back from the CEO or from the department, from our department, when we get the report back on this. Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
Councillor Nigel, do you have anyone else? Councillor, question? Okay, Councillor Locke for closing.
No, happy to put to the vote.
Okay, we'll put to the vote. Those in favour of the motion? Okay, that's carried. Okay, thank you. If we could bring in the mayor, it's like Councillor Garden, that's great. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Agenda item 8 is delegates' reports, and there are none, which then leads us into the main body of tonight's meeting. Agenda item 9. Item 9.1 is the Council's expense and support policy, and I'm going to ask Director Quill to speak to give us a brief introduction on that agenda item. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This agenda item relates to the councillor expense and support policy, of which all local governments in Victoria are required to have under the Local Government Act. Tonight, we are requesting that council place on public exhibition the draft policy that's attached to the report for 21 days. And if submissions are received related to the policy, to put those back before council. But if no submissions are received for the policy to be adopted, the policy governs the way in which councillors can claim expenses from Wodonga Council and also seek support with things like training and development.
Thank you, Director Quill. We have a recommendation before us for the mover. Councillor Mildren.
The difference.
So it's, yep, that's correct.
Mr. Mayor, what we're doing with the recommendation as it stands here is we are endorsing a draft for public exhibition,
Yes.
and that's terrific. But the second point then becomes in proper process if we're automatically then taking it as an endorsed document, which is a different thing to being endorsed for public exhibition. So what I propose, Mr. Mayor, is that we, item 1 as recommended,
Yes.
but item 2 delete if submissions and just say that the draft policy be brought back to council following the conclusion of the exhibition period. Detailing community feedback on those changes if there are any.
So just to be clear, as recommended, other than you suggesting number 1 stays the same, number 2, you omit the first words if submissions are received proposing amendments.
Yep.
And number 3,
It's deleted.
it's deleted. That's your proposed motion?
Yep.
So the mover,
2 starts at A. So a report be presented to council following conclusion of the exhibition period detailing community's feedback and proposed changes to the document and recommending adoption of the policy.
okay, is that clear? Good. So Councillor Mildred has moved that. Do you have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Quilty. Councillor Mildred, would you like to speak to that as the mover?
I think the policy is relatively straightforward. Officer will go to reasonably good summary of what it's all about.
Yeah.
And it's a requirement, a legislative requirement that council have a policy of this nature.
Yes.
So, give us the
Good. Great, thank you. Councillor Quilty is the seconder. Would you like to speak to it?
Yeah, just briefly, I'm happy to endorse the policy as it has been presented to us and as we have been briefed on it for public exhibition. I agree with the changes proposed by Councillor Mildren. It's a proper process to endorse a document for public exhibition and then to endorse a document for a report after public exhibition to vote on it, to accept it or not. It's, I believe we may subject ourselves to omissions or not such good governance if we just omit this step. So I'm happy to second that support.
Thank you, Councillor Quilty. I'm going to open up to other councillors for comment and questions. Score. If not, I'm going to put the motion to a vote. All those in favour? Councillor Knight, Councillor Quilty, Councillor Mildren, Councillor Goble, Councillor Hall, Councillor Cowan. All those against? Councillor Aldridge, the motion is carried. Thank you, Councillor Mildren. Agenda item 9.2 is proposed road names, Meriden stages 3 to 6. I'm going to call on Director Mulderry to speak to this.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Item 9.2 seeks council decision on proposed road names for the stages 3 to 6 for the Meridian State subdivision. The report presents 6 proposed road names submitted by the developer and assessed by officers in accordance with the statutory naming requirements. The recommendation before council is to endorse the proposed road names and forward the resolution to the Register of Geographic Names to enable the formal gazettal process. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Mulderry. So we've got a recommendation there before us. Do you have a mover? Councillor Cowan, and a seconder. Councillor Aldridge, Councillor Cowan, would you like to speak to that?
Thank you. I'm pleased to see this theme of astral type names. I think it suits the estate very well, and congratulations to the developer for coming up with something quite original. Looking forward to seeing these names on street signs soon.
Thank you, Councillor Cowan. Councillor Aldridge, is it seconded?
Concur with Councillor Cowan. It's nice to see a break from our named plans that we so regularly seem to see come up at meetings.
Thank you, Councillor Aldridge, although I think the CEO would disagree. Being the botanist that he is. Any other councillors who'd like to speak or ask questions to the motion? If not, I'm going to put the motion to a vote. All those in favour? That's carried unanimously. Thank you. Agenda item 9.3 is the proposed telecommunications facility at Barnawartha North. Again, I'm going to call on Director Mulderry to speak to this.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The report relates to a request from Wavecon Operations to lease part of a council-owned reserve at Barnawartha North, the establishment of a telecommunication facility. The proposal involves a long-term lease, and as the lease was not included in the adopted budget, the Local Government Act requires council to undertake a community engagement process before a final decision can be made. The recommendation of all council is to place council's intention to enter into the lease on public exhibition, inviting submission to the community with any feedback to report it back to council for further consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mulderry. We have a recommendation there before us. Councillor Cowan.
I have an alternate recommendation, Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
It's all the same, but with an additional point. And that is point 6, if I may add, any lease entered into with Wavecon Operations Proprietary Limited be conditional upon the leasee obtaining all necessary planning approvals, including the grant of a planning permit under the Wodonga planning scheme.
Do you mind just reading that again, just for clarity?
Any lease entered into with Wavecon Operations Proprietary Limited be conditional upon the leasee obtaining all necessary planning approvals, including the grant of a planning permit under the Wodonga planning scheme.
Thank you very much, Councillor Cowan. I think we're clear on that.
Question is there.
Your question to okay. Before a seconder, and then a question, I'm assuming, to Councillor Aldridge.
Two.
Okay. Do we have a seconder for that motion?
I'll second for the purpose of debate.
Councillor Cowan, the mover. Councillor Aldridge is the seconder. We have a question from Councillor Melton. Just to be clear, before the questions asked by Councillor Melton, just clarity. Has Councillor Cowan got the right to speak to that before the question? Yes, Chair. Would you like to speak to it prior to the question being asked?
Perhaps it might help, and the question might be answered in the way that I speak to it.
So I'm going to, if it's okay with the Councillor Melton, call on Councillor Cowan to speak to it. Then obviously Councillor Aldridge is the second, and then invite Councillor Melton to ask that question. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. I think it's great to have Wavecon offering this facility at Barnawartha North. I think the access to telecommunications is an important aspect to our industrial estate and the activities of Barnawartha North. But this amendment really is just about adding an extra check in the process. And I'm really comfortable with putting it out for public exhibition. But given its information and its proximity to a fuel and truck stop, I think it's important that we make sure all the necessary checks and balances have been done in relation to the risk or any other safety considerations that they're properly worked through. And these are exactly the kind of things that are tested through the planning permit process. So making the lease conditional on that just gives us a bit more confidence that everything has been appropriately assessed before any final commitment is made.
Thank you, Councillor Cowan. Councillor Aldridge is the seconder.
I reserve my right.
Councillor Melton, question.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In certain circumstances, albeit probably rare, no planning permit is required for certain telecommunications facilities. If that were to be the case, then we don't have the authority to actually require the planning permit if it's exempted from it. My question to the staff is, are we aware as to whether or not this is one of those occasions where a permit is or is not required?
I'm going to call on Director Muldoon, but I note that it may be referred to Officer Schultz.
Thank you. It is our advice and planning, initial advice, that a planning permit would be required for that facility at that location.
Councillor Melbourne, any other questions or comments? Yep, Councillor Aldridge is the right of reply. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. No.
So, okay, sorry, before we go to you, sorry, Councillor Quilty.
Thank you. Look, no, I have no issues supporting the motion with the addition that Councillor Cowan has proposed, given the assurance by the officers that planning permits are definitely required in this space. However, I foreshadow an alternative motion to deal with it the same way we dealt with the previous motion, to present the council a report for voting again upon receipt of submissions from the public. Yeah, that's it. Because what we are proposing is essentially the same as before, that should no submissions be received, then the report is done and dusted, and we don't need another vote. But
So perhaps this question to you, Councillor Quilty, does not the third dot point reference that if submissions are received, the report will be presented to a future council?
and if submissions are not received, the report is still presented to the future council.
Oh, okay, right. Yeah. Thank you for showing that.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes,
I would be prepared to accept that amendment if that would help the process.
okay. I'm going to go to the second. Sorry.
I'm happy to second that.
Right.
If it means it's going to get across the line.
CEO, are you clear of Councillor Quilty's suggested amendment to Councillor Aldridge? Councillor.
So we're deleting
No, deleting, so point 1 unchanged, point 2 unchanged, point 3 goes, a report be presented to a future council meeting detailing the community feedback and making a recommendation for final decision on the proposed list. And delete 5, and so make 5 4, and then make 6 5.
That's clear.
Subject to the let's see,
Please.
Yeah.
Yep. Planning permits.
Good, just take a second.
Yeah, so
Yeah, as already said, if it's going to get this across the line,
yeah,
we'll happy to second.
yeah. So we've got approval from agreement from Councillor Cowan and Councillor Aldridge is the seconder. Thank you, Councillor Quilty. Did you want to speak to this as right of reply, or we've got another comment or question? No more comments or questions. I'm going to go to you. So is it your hand?
No, have you spoken to it yet?
No.
No.
I'm reserved.
Yeah, sorry. Okay.
That's right. Well, I wasn't sure whether you're putting your hand up or.
Yeah, I wasn't sure whether you'd spoken to what was going on. Look, just a little bit of info. This is a 30-year lease with break dates in 5-year increments. It's a rental charge of $16,500 plus GST per annum for the first year, and then rent is payable indexed year by 3%. So it's not a lot. It's not a huge piece of land, but it it does provide income to the council, and it also provides a service for our Logic 5G. I think it is ready location out there. So I think it's a needed piece of infrastructure. So yeah, supporting it.
Thank you. And just before you do, Councillor Aldridge, likewise, as the Deputy Mayor said, I think it's a really good use of what would otherwise be quite a challenged parcel of land. I think it's probably highest and best use. congratulate the staff for bringing this to council and negotiating what they have to date, subject to all the processes that we've got to go through. I too will be supporting this motion. Councillor Aldridge.
Thank you. Look, to be honest, now a lot of things of what I was going to say has been said. So the parcel of land identified is irregular in shape and realistically unlikely to be suited to any future recreational or commercial use. And by entering into a lease with Wodonga, we have an opportunity to activate an otherwise unusable reserve while addressing a very real issue for residents and businesses in and around the Logic Industrial Estate, which is poor mobile and internet connectivity. Better coverage means more reliable communication and stronger support for the industries growing in this precinct. I also believe this lease represents strong long-term financial value for ratepayers. Over the next 30 years, the modest section of underutilised land could deliver around $865,000 in revenue back to council, which is fantastic for a site that would otherwise sit idle.
Thank you very much, Councillor Aldridge. With the debate now being exhausted, we'll put the motion to a vote. All those in favour? That's carried unanimously. Thank you. Agenda item 9.4 is the Wodonga Creek Activation Community Consultation Outcome. I'm going to invite Councillor Mulderry, Director Mulderry, to speak to this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This report presents the outcomes of the community consultation undertaken for the Wodonga Creek Activation Project and seeks council's endorsement to proceed to tender. The report outlines key themes raised through consultation and any proposed refinements identified by officers. It also notes community interest in recreational boating access and proposes that any consideration of a future boat ramp be progressed separately from the current project, subject to further assessment and approvals. The recommendation for council is to endorse the project proceeding to tender in accordance with the report and existing funding arrangements. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Director Mulderry. We've got a recommendation there before us to have a mover. Thank you, Councillor Aldridge.
I'll move the recommendation.
Thank you. And seconder, Councillor Cowan. Councillor Aldridge, I'm going to ask you to speak to that.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Wodonga Creek Activation Project represents an exciting opportunity for our city, and I'm so excited about this project. It's clear from the feedback that people want to see this long neglected corridor become a vibrant, accessible and beautiful public space. And a big thanks to everyone who took the time to provide feedback, raise concerns and offer suggestions on improvements. Boating access has understandably been a focal point in recent days. The feedback has been heard, it's taken seriously and responded to with evidence and expert advice. Officers have shown that formalising powered boat access at Diamond Park isn't compatible with the critical water infrastructure in that location, and this has been confirmed by North East Water. At the same time, the commitment to investigate a future recreational boat ramp downstream shows that council is not dismissing the issue, rather approaching it in a responsible way. This project will strengthen the link between the CBD, Belvoir Park, Gateway Island and Albury. It supports active transport, tourism, outdoor recreation and a healthier, more connected community. Improvements to parkways, water play elements, creek access and environmental landscaping will transform the corridor into a destination that families, visitors, sporting groups and nature lovers can enjoy for decades to come. For these reasons, I strongly support the recommendation to endorse the refined detailed design and proceed to tender. Again, this is a fantastic opportunity for Wodonga.
Thank you, Councillor Aldridge. Councillor Cowan is the seconder.
Oh, thank you. I've got a lot similar to Councillor Aldridge to say, but I want to begin by thanking everyone for making a submission.
Yes.
It's clear our community cares about this part of Wodonga and its future. I'm supportive of the recommendation to move forward, particularly incorporating the refinements that have come directly from the community feedback. But there are a couple of areas I do want to highlight. And the first is the importance of water quality, riparian health and biodiversity. Protecting and enhancing the natural riverine beauty and environment of the creek is what we should be striving for, and because that's what makes the place so special. And the second is access, and I think that this was part of the brief of the Wodonga Creek Activation Plan. And the access that matters, I can see from the feedback, is particularly the need for safe and a functional boat ramp. So I welcome the commitment from officers to further investigation, but I do want to emphasise the urgency here. I think we've heard clearly about the safety concerns from North East Water with the current location. And I think the community expects us to progress a safer alternative as soon as possible. So overall, this is a positive step forward, and I'm looking forward to seeing the community's voice reflected in what we're planning to do here.
Thank you, Councillor Cowan. Other councillors? Councillor Morgan.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. This project, from when it started to now, has morphed into something entirely different from where it started. The original concept was to predominantly deal with matters on the south side of the creek, on the Wodonga city side of the creek, and was designed to open up and attract people into that area that might wander off up into the shopping precincts and areas, and it might draw the shopping precinct closer to it over a longer period of time. They were the things that were originally put up, and indeed, the late councillor John Watson was very solid in the way he approached those sort of things whilst he was a councillor. What's happened in the interim, I'm not sure why this has unfolded, but this seems to have morphed. And I note that this was raised by at least one of the objectors, or one of the submitters, sorry. This has morphed into a project that seems to have focused more largely on Diamond Park than it has on the south side, although it still addresses both sides. I see some of the submissions that have been made are to be incorporated into the proposition. I find it interesting that we're not incorporating the boat ramp into the funds we already have as a direct consequence of dealing with the responses we got from consultation. Putting it off to the Never Never, and particularly on the Never Never based on if we get some more funding, is, I think, a little bit disrespectful of the people who made the submissions in regard to that. I fully understand the reasons why we can't continue to have the boat ramp where it is with an upgraded facility where it's likely to get lots more use. We have to protect the water intake facilities, but at the same time, in my opinion, we should be including a like-for-like facility at a different location to accommodate the people that use this boat ramp. It's disappointing that we've addressed some submitters, but we're not addressing the wishes of all submitters when the circumstances seem reasonably similar. I use the word seem because there might be details that I'm not aware of, but it seems similar. So as much as I really, really support this project and I think it's going to be great for Wodonga, I have concerns that we should be trying to adjust the project to include the boat ramp. So I, at this point in time, don't know which one I'm going to vote. Okay. And we'll see what happens when it gets put to the vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Mildred. Any other councillors? Councillor Hall.
Yeah, look, I concur with what Councillor Mildred said. It has changed drastically since we first, the last council first decided that we wanted to activate the creek. But having said that, I think the end product is good. There were reasons behind not spending or not developing this other side of the creek because of difficulties of flow and all sorts of reasons. But I think at the end of the day, I think it'll be a good development. And the fact is, we've just waited so long for this. It's taken a long time. It was part of the 2C, 1C federal government regional deal. The federal government had contributed 2.5 million to it. Wodonga Council is contributing 2.5 million. So it's, we've got a budget of 5 million. I sort of understand that it will activate Diamond Creek area in more. It probably needs a bit of an uplift as well. So I suppose in the combination of, activating the creek, we also activate that, area which probably needs a good uplift. Yes, and I do believe that the boat ramp will be a missed opportunity there, but we have noted that it's going to be looked at separately. So I don't think it'll get lost in the long term. So other than that, I support the project going forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hall. Any other councillors? Councillor Quilty.
Thank you. Look, a lot of the things that I've already thought about have been said, and I'd like to use the opportunity to thank the submitters. It's very obvious how much interest this project is of to the community by the number and the detail of the submissions. And I'm really glad to see it happening. It is difficult. It has moved to an extent, and it's not probably not perfect from my point of view. And I do agree with the councillors who mentioned boat ramp. I think it is, given the body of water and the possible recreational uses, I think the boat ramp would be nice to have there, and hopefully we'll address that in the future with the funds available. I'm going to support the recommendation tonight because I'm really excited to see the movement and the happening of it finally. So I think it will set us on a good path. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Courtney. Any other councillors before I go? Councillor Knight.
I'll also be supporting this, but I also wanted to highlight the lack of the boating access and the powered watercraft on that side, because I do believe it's something that we should be including in it.
Thank you, Councillor Knight. I'm going to go to Councillor Aldridge as the mover for a right of reply.
Nothing further to add, Mr Mayor.
If that's the case, I'm going to put the motion. All those in favour? Councillor Cowan, Councillor Aldridge, Hall, Global, Milford. Oh, sorry, unanimous. Thank you. Thank you. Good. Thank you, councillors. Agenda item 9.5 is the MAB motions for the upcoming May 2026 State Council. We do. Who's going to speak? Director Ryan, thank you. And I think it's the first time you're speaking through this council, so welcome.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. So this agenda item seeks council's decision on whether to submit motions to the NAB State Council meeting in May of this year. The report reviews two potential matters that have been raised by councillors and assesses their eligibility under the NAB requirements. The report recommends submitting a motion seeking advocacy for the establishment of a dedicated multi-year road renewal program to address the renewal backlog across the state managed road network with a priority focus on regional corridors. The report also notes that graffiti management on state government assets was the subject of an adopted MAB resolution in May 2025 and therefore recommends that council not submit a further motion on this matter, but instead write to the MAB seeking an update on implementation and requesting that advocacy continue until that matter is fully progressed. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Ryan. We've got a recommendation there before us. Do we have a mover? Thank you, Councillor Knight. Seconder. Thank you, Councillor Aldridge. Councillor Knight, would you like to speak to that as the mover?
Just briefly, that we all know that the roads are atrocious, and council continuously gets hounded about potholes, and we know most of them are in the state roads. So I think that's a really good advocacy point to be making. And the graffiti management is something we'd also like to see moved a little bit further.
Thank you, Councillor Knight. Councillor Aldridge is the second.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. In recent weeks, I've heard from countless residents about the worsening state of our roads with potholes, in particular, becoming a real safety concern across key routes. It's been a real process for me trying to educate community members that reach out that in the vast majority, well, actually all cases, that the roads I'm getting flagged are managed by the DTP and council has no authority to do any work. Even though it's not the case, the perception is councils are blame shifting and people are sick of it. They just want their roads fixed. The quick fixes aren't cutting it. That's even if there is a fix at all. The community is calling for long-term state-level action. This reinforces exactly why a dedicated multi-year road renewal program is so important for regional areas like ours. Also, it's no secret that we're hearing growing concerns about graffiti on state-owned assets. While this issue can't be resubmitted as a new MAB motion, it's clear residents expect progress, and seeking an update on the 2025 resolution is the next best thing. Residents want to see action, and again, rightly so. Our community wants safe, well-maintained infrastructure and accountability from the agencies responsible. The recommended motion positions us to advocate strongly for that outcome, and I fully support it tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Aldridge. I'm going to open up to other councillors for comment, questions. Councillor Hall.
Yeah, look, I support this. You know, it's just been too much cost shifting, and you know, our roads, like Councillor Aldridge has said, and other Nine said, are not good. These are the state roads I'm referring to. Same with our graffiti. The state aren't doing their job on their own assets, and we need to really take the bull by the horns and get the municipal association to advocate on behalf of all councils, especially regional councils, because I think we've been getting a done deal for too long, and we really need to hammer home that things need to change, because lives are at risk on some of these roads with the potholes and what have you, and the cost to some of the people driving on the roads with cars. We're getting caught in these ruts and causing all sorts of issues. And the graffiti, if you go down Melrose, some of the Department of Housing have graffiti all over them, and it's a main thoroughfare road in Wodonga, and it looks terrible, and it all comes back onto us, but sadly we're not responsible for those, and that needs to be highlighted to our government. They need to stand up and look after their assets, and therefore I'm supporting this recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Hall. Any other councillors? Councillor Milton. Oh, sorry. I thought Councillor Cowan. I thought you had your sorry. Councillor Cowan.
Thank you. Yes, look, I think the MAV resolution in 2025 was to do with dedicated funding streams and resources for funding councils. And we really have the evidence here to suggest that we deserve and can manage those funding streams well. And I'm looking forward to hearing from MAV on the advocacy that they've made to the state government and how we will be funded for those place-based initiatives that are very important to our community.
Thank you, Councillor Cowan. Any other councillors? Councillor Melvin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Whilst I 100% support the need for changes to the way that our state government manages our state roads, and particularly our regional roads, I don't have a lot of faith in the MOV of actually carrying through anything of substance and getting a result at the other end. And there's a whole range of reasons for that, not necessarily all the fault of the MOV. There's a history and a litany of different motions of this nature that have, or a similar nature, that have gone up before the MOV over the last many years. But I'm sure the MOV do their diligence and send a letter off, but that's probably where it finishes. Sometimes it doesn't, but mostly I think that's what happens. When we go back to the graffiti, it's probably a case in point. I might also say, last time we spoke about graffiti, I spoke in satire and got formally reported as if I was speaking in gospel fact. Interestingly enough, when I travelled the freeways in the last few days, the whole west side of Melbourne freeway area, much of the freeway that runs from the end of the CityLink component out through the Monash is literally covered. I mean, literally covered in graffiti of one form or another. And I think that horse is way well and truly bolted. I don't know what the answer to do with it is. I know if you go back into areas like Brunswick, they're actually marketing it as being an attraction. Some of it might well be, some of it's not. I see all these things as very beneficial and things we should all be advocating for. But on the face of it, I don't see a lot of future success coming our way on any of this stuff. And yes, we do need to advocate to the MAB. We need to be doing probably many other things as well. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Milton. Any other councillors? Councillor Quilty, then, to Councillor Quilty. Yep.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Look, I think it is important to advocate for both of those issues. I wholeheartedly support the cause. Councillor Mildren is right. This advocacy may be of limited utility. However, it doesn't mean that we shouldn't take this chance. We should take every chance we have at advocacy to the state. I did enjoy the joking, light-hearted exchange that Councillor Mildren has referred to when discussing graffiti as a way of urban art and being art as he can tell art from vandalism. I actually have asked myself this question in many a modern art gallery, but this has the point. If I were a mischievous councillor, I would probably suggest that if people must do inappropriate graffiti, maybe they should do around the potholes on the road, and then that would speed up the process of fixing them. But I'm not suggesting it because it's dangerous. So as I am a serious and responsible councillor, I will say that I support this advocacy and this cause is very important. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Quilty. Given that all other councillors have spoken about myself, before I go to Councillor for right reply, I would like to respond to a couple of things. So I think irrespective of this council's likelihood of being successful in our advocacy, whether it be roads or hospitals, whatever, our community absolutely expect us to advocate on their behalf for issues that are pertinent to this community. And as Councillor Aldridge said, roads, and particularly state roads, is the mood out there is visceral in relation to the state of these roads and the damage they're doing to our community's cars and compromising safety. To Councillor Mildren's comment about MAB, as a board director of MAB, I can absolutely testify that it's not just letters, it's meeting of staff, CEO, president of MAB with relevant ministers on, particularly on pertinent advocacy pieces. That doesn't mean to say that they're successful, and in many cases they're not. But like us, they've got a duty to advocate on behalf of their members. And likewise, to Councillor Cooley's point, and Councillor Mildren's point, there are many avenues of advocacy. Just last week or the week before, I was with the Treasurer of Victoria, advocating on behalf of RCV for further investment in state roads. So it occurs in multiple ways, but to Councillor Mildren's point, it doesn't always eventuate in success. So we've got that duty to our community. I'll be supportive of the motion. I'm going to go to Councillor Knight for a right reply.
Thank you. I would like to agree with you there, Mayor Goble, but also with Councillor Quilty and Councillor Mildren as well, because sometimes advocacy does feel like we get nowhere. But in this particular case, with these ones with the roads and the graffiti, I think the government has been very neglectful of regional areas. It's not just us that's complaining about this or anything along those lines, but council is very limited in what it can and cannot do. And advocacy is unfortunately our strongest weapon in this case. So, that's what we have to do. 100% going to be supporting this.
Thank you, Councillor Knight. With the debate now being concluded, I'm going to put the motion to a vote. All those in favour? That's unanimous. Motion is carried. Thank you. Agenda item 10 is reports for noting. We've got the Victorian Electoral Commission report for the 2025 Lake View Ward by-election. There's a recommendation there. With that report being noted, does it require an introduction? Do we have a director who might be volunteering for that? Thank you, Director Quill.
In mid-2025, a former councillor resigned under the Local Government Act 2020. The Victorian Electoral Commission is the required administrator of all elections, and following that, resignation was required to administer an election under the Local Government Electoral Regulations 2020. The Commission is required to provide to the Chief Executive, and the Chief Executive is required to submit to Council a report on all elections, including by-elections. And in this report, there is an attachment, which is that document from the Victorian Electoral Commission that outlines their work, as well as the outcomes of that by-election.
Thank you, Director Quill. We've got a recommendation there for noting that this is for noting. Do we have a mover there? Thank you, Councillor Hall. Seconder. Councillor Cowan. Did you want to speak to it at all?
I just noted, I don't know if I'm allowed to, that mentioned it was a bit less than what, even though it was highly expensive, it was a bit less than what, yeah, and I think we just voted, it was, and that was estimates, it's about 150,000, it ended up 123, bit over 123,000, so it's a little bit of a consolation to be a bit under that, but overall it's a, you know, it's a massive amount of money for a election, which I think should be done a lot cheaper. Maybe just a count back would have been more efficient, but thank you. So yes.
Thank you, Councillor Hall. Councillor Cowan is the seconder.
Yes, thank you. I think this is, again, a reflection of the voting and democracy in Wodonga that we have this report, and I do commend people to have a look at it. I think the interesting thing is that we had slightly less turnout for this election this time around than the previous election. Given that there are fines for not voting, I was a bit surprised about that. But nonetheless, I am hearing across the sector that by-elections, there is a pushback because it is costing councils extraordinary amount of money. In particular, one council, Whittlesea Council, is now facing their third by-election. I think this is an unintended consequence of the ward system, and but nonetheless, it is democracy. It is the way we've gone about it this time, and have a look at the report. It's worth reading.
Thank you, Councillor Cowan. Any other councillors? No.
I'd like to also note that wasn't council's choice. This is the Victorian government once again dictating the terms of how this was run. This was not council's choice of how it was to be done. So just for the community's benefit, we would prefer a lot cheaper option.
Yeah, so thank you, Councillor Knight. Any other councillors? No, I'm going to go to Councillor Hall for right of reply.
No.
If not, I'll put the motion. All those in favour of noting this? That's carried unanimously. Thank you, councillors. Agenda item 11 is reports for information only. We've got 11.1, which is the record of council meetings. Any questions or comments on that? It's for information only. Ask for no. If not, we go to 11.2, which is the decisions register. Yes. Any questions or comments on the decisions register? It's quite substantial amount of information there. If not, I'm going to go to 11.3 and invite Director Quill to speak to the council plan review progress report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This report outlines the progress that the council as a whole has made in achieving the strategies and initiatives that are included in the previously endorsed 4-year council plan. It provides two components. One, a detailed report that goes through each of the achievements and areas of work in progress, as well as a community snapshot that provides a high-level overview for the community to understand the work of council over the last 6 months. A further update will be provided later this year as part of the council's report, and that will then reflect a full year report for the first year of council's new council plan following their recent full council election.
Thank you, Director Krill. Any questions or comments to, it is for information only, about Councillor Carroll? Yes.
I'd like to make a comment, Mr Mayor. I want to acknowledge and thank the council staff both for preparing this report, but more importantly for the work you're doing day to day to progress the actions. I think this is evidence to our community that the effort we're turning council plans into reality. And I also wanted to make the point that in presenting a mid-year report, it's not a legislative requirement. It's actually over and above what we're required to do. And I think that we, in doing so, it's a genuine attempt to raise transparency and trust in the process of delivering a council plan. So thanks again.
Thank you, Councillor Carroll. Good comments. Thank you. Councillor Hall.
Yeah, I'd just like to say also too, the document provided, it's new, so it'll be work in progress going forward, but it's very easy to read. It's a 2-pager that the community can just read and get a very good idea of what council are doing and what we've achieved. So yeah, it's a good document in as far as it makes you can just open it, read it, and it's pretty well there in front of you. You don't have to go looking for bits and pieces to find out information that should be made available to the community. So I appreciate the time and effort put into making it user friendly for our community and for councillors as well.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Hall. Any other councillor comments? Just like to echo Councillor Hall's comments, and as returning councillors, you would have seen the previous reporting to council and the community, but to Councillor Hall's point, very legible, very digestible, and to Councillor Cowan's comments, very transparent document. So thank you to staff who have been involved in the preparation of that. Thank you. That is for information only, which now then brings us to agenda item 12, notices of motion, and there are none. Which now leads us to a really, really important part of the meeting, which is general business. And I'd like to kick off by saying I've been reminded by no less than 2 former mayors, being Councillor Milgram and also former Mayor Byatt, and also the Deputy Mayor, to remind me that today is a very important day. And that day is, this is the last council meeting that Director Shorts is attending as a director here, but he'll be very welcome to come back into the gallery as Citizen Shorts, ratepayer Shorts for our future ones. So yes, I am building some expectations there. But I just want to acknowledge that Leon has been here for no less than 15 years. I understand Leon joined in 2010 as a manager, and then subsequently got promoted to director. And over that 15 years, Leon has been involved and responsible, like many of our staff, to overseeing some significant development in Wodonga. And if I could just perhaps call out some of those, with back then the redevelopment of Wodonga CBD, that was part of a very significant advocacy and funding piece of this council for many, many years, with the removal of the railway line, Wodonga Rail Bypass Project, the redevelopment of the CBD, realignment of Elgin Boulevard, the creation of Junction Place, and very controversially, the renovation to High Street, but also other projects with the development of Barrandoon or Leneva, which our communities see every day, further development coming out of the ground, and what is some great residential developments out there. And also sales out of Logic, with key ones being Opal and others. So long period, huge commitment, great contribution. Leon, you will be missed. But just on behalf of all councillors and staff, I'd like to thank you for your contribution over the last 15 years and your patience in dealing with us as well, which I know at times has been testing. But thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Thank you.
Good. Are there any other items for general business? No. And under urgent business, I understand there is an item. It just procedurally, do we need a motion to accept the general business? Urgent business? So what we did is I recall one instance where there was someone needs to move. Can we get an understanding of what that urgent business is? And then do a procedural motion to accept that and then have Councillor Knight speak to it?
Yes, that sounds great.
Did you want to speak to the general nature of it prior to us doing that procedural motion and then go?
Yeah, so I just want to raise urgent business in regards to the safe crossings for the students of Kiribati Primary School going through the boulevard.
Good, thank you. Given that we've got a clear idea of what that is, there's a motion there that we accept this urgent business consideration. Those in favour?
Second.
So I'm not moving it. I'm going to ask someone to move that and then second it. Do we have a mover?
Okay.
A seconder? Councillor Milner, all those in favour?
Yeah.
We're actually,
Business. You're accepting.
We're accepting a,
It's the best.
so just to be clear, we're voting on a procedural motion, which is to accept urgent business, which is pertaining to the item that Councillor Knight just referred to. I'll just call on a vote again, just to be clear. All those in favour is unanimous. Thank you. Councillor Knight, you've got the floor.
Okay, so my motion will be that council request a report to the April council meeting addressing the collaboration between state government, the developer and council about the establishment of infrastructure that caters appropriately for child safety at the Kiribati Primary School when approaching and crossing the road. This report to be presented at the April meeting.
CEO, you've got a copy of that?
I do that, please.
Councillor Knight's moved that motion. Do we have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Mildren. Councillor Knight, would you like to speak to that?
Yeah, so I received an email from Kate today in regards to this being an ongoing issue, and she's been very proactive in calling around, getting the petition together, chasing up different avenues like state government, the developers, council, and everybody's moving in different speeds and sort of pushing it to different corners. So the idea of this is to actually get something in writing and to have a formal report that we can take back and tell them what's going to be happening and when it's going to be happening.
Thank you, Councillor Knight. Councillor Milton, is the second. Reserve your right. Other councillors?
Can I just ask the question,
Sure.
please? And
Yes.
Councillor Knight might be the person to answer this. You mentioned just when you were talking then that there is a petition going around. I have seen the petition circulating. I'm just wondering, is there a reason why that petition hasn't come to council for us to be able to proceed in that way instead of going?
It was a problem presenting that in the format that she had, and she missed the deadline, is my understanding. So for this meeting, so she missed the deadline for that, for the format that she had. So she's seeking to hopefully do that at the next meeting.
Just as a comment to that, I believe I had reached out to that resident explaining to her the correct process for the petition, just for some background context. So I'm sorry to hear that she.
I think it was more format as in how it was coming out in the, how she was doing the emails. I'm 100% sure the exact reason, but yes, she was keen to present it. But yeah, unfortunately, it's.
Thank you, Councillor Aldridge, for your question. Councillor Cowan?
thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm obviously on record of speaking quite strongly in support of school safety zones, and I do note that in the decision register, and I would like to point this out to the councillors, that the resolution made on the 15th of the 12th, 2025, that council supports and seeks authorisation from DTP for the implementation of variable time-based 40-kilometre school zone speed limit on all local roads abutting the new Leneva Primary School, and undertakes community notification in accordance with the council's established practices, That's in progress because the Department of Transport and Planning have rejected this recommendation. So we are awaiting a formal response on that. And I think, as I have pointed out in the past, these decisions are not taken lightly. The consideration of school safety zones is something that we should rely on the very best practice and the very best advice of our officers. And in this case, I think council, we have actually failed to fulfil that responsibility.
What's the point of order, councillor Morgan?
Mr Mayor, the motion is about infrastructure.
And so is my commentary, Mr Mayor.
The commentary's been about speed zones.
It's about the overall safety of the school, the Kiribana school, and that recommendation was part of that.
So, okay. Any other concluding comments, councillor Carroll? I'm going to allow you to continue.
Thank you.
Yes, just to be clear.
Thank you. So, I think we should be seeking some further advice from council staff in relation to this matter. And while I think there's extraordinarily important, and I am concerned alongside the community of Barranduda and the students and parents that attend the school, I think we've got some work to do in this matter.
Thank you, councillor Cowan. Other councillor comments or questions? I'm noting you've got a right of reply, councillor Morgan, still, and then I'll go to the mover. So, councillor Morgan.
Councillors.
Oh, sorry, I didn't see your hand.
So I asked a question before, so I'm probably going to ask another question again. Is it possible to hear from officers now what their thoughts on this would be and the limitations that it may present should we vote on this tonight? Just to get an overview of their thoughts on this, just as the people that are on the coalface, so to speak.
Thank you, councillor Aldridge. Through the mayor, council staff quite pleased to be able to provide this report to council. We will go back to the Department of Transport and the developer and collect the information and provide that to the April meeting. Given the matter came before council just prior to the meeting, this allows us time to establish that information so that your future decisions are based on fact.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, CEO. Conclude. Councillor Milton.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Whilst I support much of the sentiment that Councillor Cowan's talked about, I don't support going back over old ground, irrespective as to whether or not the department may have decided not to support the council's resolution. The council's resolution is what the resolution is. And until we provide some different resolution, then we should be supporting that resolution and not necessarily talking down the council's decisions on various things until some other matter comes about vis-a-vis this report, which talks about infrastructure. And yes, there are many, many aspects of what we've got right and what we've got wrong in relation to the infrastructure associated with Barranduda Boulevard and the direct access from Barranduda Boulevard to this new school. There's a whole range of things that are associated with that. But infrastructure, I believe, is the key thing, not least of which is the issues associated with the intersection of Barranduda Boulevard, and not least of which is associated with being able to get people, students, across Barranduda Boulevard from those areas to the north. They're all big infrastructure issues that in some ways we probably should have been thinking about these things when we designed the estate. It's clear that we didn't, or for whatever reason it wasn't able to be implemented if we did. So I see this report about infrastructure as being critically important to this whole process. I do not see this report going back over the old ground that the council's already got a resolution on.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you, Councillor Milton. Councillor Knight is already replied.
Okay, yeah, so look, I agree with councillor Mildren. The abutting roads, things wouldn't have covered this. Barrington Boulevard actually doesn't abut that school. It's actually off by itself, so it wouldn't have been covered by that 40-kilometre hour zone. The DTP, did knock back the school zone next to Kiribati Primary School, but they didn't offer us anything in return about what they would recommend, even though the recommendation that we made was for the same as every other school in this town. The infrastructure that's going to be required for this, as Councillor Mildren has stated, is being sadly missed, but we cannot be seen to be just pushing it back. It's not this council that decided the school was going there. It was not this council that started the building of this school. But there's certainly every level that we've talked about of state government, developer and council that knew there was a school going there. And yes, it's a big miss by all of us. But now we have to fix it, and we have to fix it fast, because it's, if a kid gets hit, that's it. It's too many straight up.
Thank you, Councillor Knight. I'm going to put the motion to a vote. All those in favour, Councillor Knight, Corsi, Mildren, Global, unanimous. Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Knight. Agenda item 15 is confidential visits. There's a recommendation that the meeting be closed to members of the public in order to consider matters pursuant to section 3, subsection 1 of the Local Government Act 2020, and the meeting be adjourned for 2 minutes, allow the public to leave the chamber. Thank you. Thank you, Kylie.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kylie. Thank you, Watermile. So we've got a motion there. All those in favour? I'm going to move it first. Sorry, move it. Councillor Carroll and second Councillor Aldridge. All those in favour? It's carried unanimously. Thank you, Officer Scully.
Council, I just clarify.
Where you go? What are you going? Welcome back to those joining us online. We're now at agenda item 17.2, which is adopt the in-camera recommendations. The recommendations of the closed meeting of the council be adopted. Could I have a mover? Councillor Hall, seconder. Councillor Cowan, all those in favour? Carried unanimously, which now leads to agenda item 17.3, which is the public release of information. CEOs to read the public recommendation, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In relation to item 15.2, proposed staged land sale at Logic, we'll read out a quite lengthy public component of the recommendation. And that is the proposed sale of land 13. The council, subject to a heads of agreement being entered into and generally in accordance with the key terms below, Wodonga Council gives notice under section 114 of the Local Government Act 2020 that it intends to sell land described as land parcel 1 and enter into the terms and deeds of land parcel 2 and land parcel 3 being part of lot 2 on PS 922847, located at 109 Roche Drive, Barnawatta North, Logic, as set out in attachment 1 to the proponent purchaser. 14, that the public notice stipulates that persons may make a submission in respect to the proposal in accordance with the council's community engagement policy. And the written submissions must be received no later than the date that at least 21 days after publication of the public notice. 15, that the council receives a further report upon completion of the public consultation period if there are submissions in respect to the public notice to determine whether to proceed with the sale or not. 16, the council authorises the chief executive officer to negotiate and enter into a heads of agreement with the proponent purchaser for the sale of land parcel 1 and enter into a terms deed on parcel 2 and land parcel 3 being part of lot 2 on PS 922847 located at 109 Roche Drive, Barnawatta North, Logic. 17, the key terms of the heads of agreements shall be subject to legal drafting, generally be as follows. A, price. The purchase price for land parcel 1 will be 5.4 million exclusive of GST based on a land area of 12 hectares or 120,000 square metres. The future purchase price of land parcel 2 will be at $60 a metre squared exclusive of GST and land parcel 3 at $65 a metre squared exclusive of GST. B, the deposit, a 5% deposit for land parcel 1 of 270,000 exclusive of GST will be payable on the day of sale. C, settlement. Settlement for land parcel 1 shall be no later than 30 days after registration of the plan and subdivision of 30 days after the granting of the planning permit for a furniture warehousing and distribution facility, with the settlement of land parcel 2 and 3 to coincide with the day of sale for each respective land parcel. And D, subdivision. The proponent will fund all costs limited to 200,000 exclusive of GST associated with the subdivision of lot 2 on PS 922847. These costs deducted from the settlement of land parcel 1 and shall be documented in the formal funding agreement to the satisfaction of both parties. And in terms of deed, that the deed shall be structured so to have the proponent make a non-refundable market-related payment in the form of an option premium of 2% of the proposed land purchase for land parcel 2, 24,000 exclusive of GST, and land parcel 3, 26,000 exclusive of GST at the day of settlement for the land parcel 1, and that these payments shall be deducted from the purchase price at settlement of land parcels 2 and 3 respectively. Noting that no retail public accessibility or words to that effect be incorporated into the contract of sale. The council authorises the chief executive officer to negotiate and enter into a rates incentive agreement. And 19, that if no submissions are received by the closing date of the public notice period, council resolves to delegate authority to the chief executive officer to decide whether or not to sell the land in accordance with the key terms set out in the heads of agreement and to commence the road closure process and to sign all necessary documentation to give effect to the land sale. Proposed road closure, discontinuance, closure and sale. 20, the council resolves to discontinue the section of roadway as shown in the red colour below and agrees to sell the parcel of land to the proponent following the processes set out above. 21, the committee engagement regarding the proposed discontinuance and sale of the section of roadway be undertaken in accordance with the section 223 of the Local Government Act 1989, and that the public notice stipulates that persons may make a submission in respect to the proposal, and written submissions must be received no later than that date, that is 21 days after the publication of the public notice. 22, that the council receives a further report upon completion of the public consultation period if there are submissions in respect to the public notice to determine whether to proceed with the sale or not. 23, that if no submissions are received by the closing date of the public notice period, council resolves to delegate authority to the Chief Executive Officer to decide whether or not to discontinue the roadway and to sell the land in accordance with the key terms set out in the heads of agreement. 24, that the council authorises the Chief Executive Officer to undertake all necessary administrative processes to effect the road discontinuance and to enable the sale described within this report. In relation to item 15.3, opportunity site, Barrington Boulevard, expressions of interest assessment. The council defer this matter and seek further government advice and present the matter to the April council. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, CEO. Which now leads us to agenda item 17.4, which is the chairperson to close the meeting. I'd like to declare the meeting closed at precisely 8:10. Thank you, councillors and staff, for your